he would have to get on the phone like at midnight and talk to the brass at Fox, and they'd be saying, "Don't shoot the next day. We want to cut that." I felt it was quite arbitrary, and again, it all arose from him not being with the script.
I think the biggest problem David had was that we never had a concrete draft of a script to go by. And here he is directing his first movie, following in the likes of Ridley Scott and James Cameron. And, you know, it is very difficult to balance all of those things. And I think that when you go through any production, it's difficult. It's hard. I think when you go through your first one without a script, it's even harder.
It's amazing to me that Fox is the #1 studio in the country because they're all such a bunch of morons.
I'm not as clear-cut about who was fucked and who wasn't, and because David was so...
I'm laughing because my motherfucking life is a mess, but I made it, and I wouldn't trade it because I stay faded.
The Finchman, right? Flincher.
The Goldfinch.
The Goldfinch, yeah, everyone's favorite movie. I'm sitting in a weird... I can't see you. No, I can see you. Just like lean over. Just come a little bit closer. I'm sitting... I know you can't see this, but I'm kind of looking straight ahead like Ripley, and Alex's side profile like the alien head.
Yes,
like
I'm
drooling
also
all over
drooling
me.
as much as the alien.
Yeah.
And,
David Fincher. Wow, what a great director. Everyone loves David Fincher, right? And humble beginnings, you know? A bajillion-dollar movie.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to see that this was his first movie, given that it's a big franchise picture.
Yeah, he has not done something like that since, I guess, right? Oh, I guess, I mean, of course, the men hating women franchise. What's it called? The Millennium movies? Dragon Tattoo?
Oh.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but that didn't really take off as a franchise.
They made another
America.
one. They made another American one, right?
Did they?
Yeah, it's like Girl in the Spider Web or whatever. I don't think anybody saw that.
Yeah, I thought they only made the one in America with Daniel Craig.
Yeah. I don't really like that movie. Fincher, I'm very hot and cold on.
Yes, that would be an interesting tier list.
It would be. I have seen all his movies.
I've seen most of them.
What's your favorite David Fincher movie other than Mank?
Panic Room.
Panic Room. Very interesting. I like that. That's a thinking man's choice.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course, Mank is #1 for everybody.
Yeah, besides Mank.
But yeah, setting aside Mank, yeah, you're right. I think it's got to be... Yeah, it's got to be the Express Yourself video he made for Madonna.
It's up there.
It's up there, yeah. Freedom 90 for George Michael.
That's another good one.
That's a great music video. Fincher, what else did he direct? You know what? Honestly, I really like The Social Network. I love The Social Network. That's like, I hate what it's done. I hate the movies that it has spawned.
Right. You hate Jesse Eisenberg.
I hate Jesse Eisenberg, who is now a director making bad Jesse Eisenberg movies. No, I'm just kidding. I haven't seen them. Maybe they're good. David Fincher, what else? Yeah, Seven's good. The Killer's good. Oh, yeah, Zodiac. That's like the real
Thinking Man's. Besides Panic Room.
Besides Mank, besides Panic Room.
Yeah,
Zodiac's definitely #3 for everybody.
People like talking about how Zodiac is slept on. But they've been
These
talking
are all
about
David
it.
Fincher's movies. I'm just listing. Sorry, go ahead.
They've been talking about how slept on Zodiac is. That it's no longer slept on.
The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Sorry, go ahead. Say what you were going to say.
The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Also slept on.
Mank. Love, Death, and Robots.
I don't know that one.
That
was a show.
That's the show.
Like Netflix,
yeah. Mindhunter. What's it called?
Right, Mindhunter.
Is it called Mindhunter?
It's called Mind. I think I watched the first.
I watched the first season. Yeah, and I remember thinking, okay, Mindhunter, Mankhunter, more like it. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
I want to see Mank again because that came out at a time when reality was very amorphous, nebulous, during the pandemic. Like, I know I saw it, but I can't remember anything about it.
Yeah, I love those movies.
Yeah, there was a lot of time there that was really sweaty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about
Weird
Mank Room? And it's Jodie Foster locked in a room with Mank.
Manic Room.
Mank. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where he's trying to get in.
What about what about Mank Club? Self-explanatory. The Social Mank. These are great. This is the kind of content that the franchisees excels at.
Social Network is, I know what you mean. Like, you want to hate it, but it is just like,
Oh, I don't want to hate it. I love it.
yeah.
Yeah, I just hate all
What it
of the movies.
represents.
Yeah, I hate the movies that, when it came out, people were like, really? This like Facebook movie that they're making a movie about something that like just happened?
Yeah.
And now like that happens all the time. And it's really annoying. And those movies are all for the most part, very bad. And it's a shame. And also like, I don't like Aaron Sorkin most of the time, but there's something about his screenplay for Social Network. Well, I mean, it's not the screenplay. Like, obviously, there's some good bits. Well, I guess he's now a director, too, directing his own screenplays. And
Really good movies.
Yeah, just fabulous movies we all know and love. Being the Ricardos, right? The Trial of Chicago 7. Yeah, just hit after hit.
It's just kind of a comforting movie at this point. You put on the Social Network, you know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
It just delivers.
If you'd invented Facebook, you would have invented Facebook. I say that all the time.
That's true.
I say that all the time.
It is kind of your go-to rebuttal.
Yeah. I'm saying that to people on the street.
And it makes people fly in a rage like Max Minghella does.
Oh, God. Yeah, I love... I know I've already done this on the show before, but
Yeah.
when Andrew Garfield, Eduardo Saverin, walks in, and he goes, Mark, and he's because he's upset.
Mark's plugged in right now.
Yeah. I fucking hate all this. Well, it's great because it's a great movie about a bunch of people who it's like very okay to hate.
Yeah.
It's like good to hate them. They're bad people.
And they're played by people who are fun to hate too.
No.
Justin Timberlake? Fuck that guy.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Justin Timberlake, total loser, obviously. This is going to ruin the tour. What tour? The world tour. That's so fucking sad. What a sad end to Mr. Troll's world tour. Justin Timberlake. No. I love Andrew Garfield. I am attracted to Andrew Garfield in many ways.
Oh, it's Andrew Garfield that freaks out, not Max Minghella.
Yeah. I watch a lot of bad movies that feature Andrew Garfield because I watched Tick, Tick, Boom,
right?
Directed by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah.
Because of Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot. Yeah, we love Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
He's the best Spider-Man.
Oh, no, I disagree with that. I did watch those movies finally. Like, I'd skipped them when they came out because I was just like, I'm over all this stuff. I watched them, and as soon as he comes on as Peter Parker, you're like, no way. Like, this guy's had sex. You know what I mean?
That's
He's
the problem
cool.
with all of them.
No. Tobey Maguire is genuinely like a nerd in the first one. I know he's part of the Pussy Posse.
Yeah, maybe it's just because the Pussy Posse lingers on.
That's
my
the
mind
main
all the
thing you
time.
think of when you think of those actors. Yeah. I know. Yeah, Lucas Haas in Last Days. What are we thinking about? The Pussy Posse. It's been more than 2 days, like last time. It's been several days, a week even. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not sure. So I have seen some movies, and I'm sure you have too. Let's lasso up a couple of...
Put on our boots and spurs.
Let's lasso up a couple of...
calves.
Yeah.
Movie cinema calves.
Movie cows. This is terrible. Yeehaw!
Brandon.
It's the weekly movie roundup. What has Alex been watching?
Well, I think the big movie that everyone's kind of been talking about recently is... the assassination of Donald Trump by the coward Trevor Cook.
Oh, yeah. Wait, that's not his name.
No, I forget his name.
No, that's not his name. His name is Thomas Crooks.
Thomas Crooks. I said Trevor Cook.
Who's Trevor Cook? Like that's so irresponsible of you. Like,
yeah.
We know. Okay. I have actually a lot to say about this, but I'm going to try to be brief. We've made, and by we I mean mostly me, I've made a lot of threats. Sometimes we have a segment called Legally Binding Threat of the Week.
That is true.
I've made a lot of threats. I've made a lot of calls for assassination of world leaders.
You sure have.
I've made a lot of calls for revolution and blood running in the streets. And then, to have something comes so close to like a significant assassination of a prominent future world leader, past and future world leader. To have it happen and to know without a doubt that the listener was a franchisee.
Oh my God.
I don't know what to say. I'm really upset. We do not condone political violence. That's political violence and violence in general is not what America's about, Alex.
except when we actively call for it.
Yeah. No. Everything, all those threats we said, that's parody, that's satire.
Satire.
My real opinion is that violence is not the foundation of Canada and America. These countries were not built on violence. These countries do not run on perpetuating violence in various forms. These are peaceful places where we have to look up to and respect our leaders, even if we disagree with them. Do you know what I mean? Violence is not the answer.
There has never been a revolution in either Canada or the United States.
No, and it's, you might say it's because we're lazy and complacent. I think that's a part of it, but I think fundamentally the reason is we're good Christian people.
We follow the rule of law.
We follow the rule of law.
The 10 Commandments.
At least at minimum 9 out of 10, some 8 out of 10 minimum commandments every day.
The amendments.
However many amendments there are, absolutely, and whatever the version of Canadian amendments is, we follow all that. And I just want to say, unequivocally, we condemn fan of the podcast Matthew Crooks. And we condemn all forms of political violence because America is a non-violent, peaceful nation that does not perpetuate political violence around the globe 24/7, 365 days a year, and neither does Canada. Okay, and please do not mistake our jokes and our jests of beating Pierre Poilievre to death with a wiffle bat or whatever. We're not going to be doing that. No one should do that. It would be very bad for our country because our country is a peaceful one. I just wanted to get that out there because I'm already getting a lot of calls from CNN and MSNBC, RCMP, yes, CSIS, CIA, FBI. They're all saying, "What did you say in your podcast to get this guy to try to blow Donald Trump's head out?
Yeah.
What did you say?" I never called for Donald Trump's assassination.
We actually haven't.
Haven't.
He's one of the few world leaders that we haven't.
I have not said anyone should kill him. So I have no idea where he got the idea. Yeah. I would say go and check the other podcasts he's listening to. There's a very similar show to ours called The Franchise. Okay. That I'm pretty sure they were the ones inciting violence.
It was Blank Check.
I was gonna say Blank Check. One thing about those episodes, and we're trying to not do this actively, in case you've noticed recently, those episodes are like long. Those episodes are 2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah.
Who knows what sorts of things they say in there, right?
Yeah.
No one's listening to the whole thing. Who knows what sort of awful, violent rhetoric they're pushing?
Yeah.
You just please don't get the wrong idea. Violence is not the way. It was very funny what happened, but that's besides the point.
1 hour and 50 minutes into Blank Check episode, they start talking about some dark shit.
They're cleaning their guns.
But yeah, they went into his place and they found a DVD copy of Elephant.
Yep.
And then a laptop it wasn't just us though, it was a lot of movie podcasts. Mm-hmm. It was Blank Check, Kermode and Mayo's Take.
Yeah. How come Kermode and Mayo, disgusting name.
They're British.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. They're British. They can get away with it.
Yeah.
They can get away with it because when you have a British accent, you can get away with it being satirical, right? With our accents, everything sounds serious. It sounds like
literal.
It's a very literal Canadian accent, and I apologize for that. Please don't get the wrong idea. If you hear us say, listeners, we would love you to assassinate a world leader, we would love you to, kill your landlord or whatever, this is just jokes. If you're a true franchisee, if you're a true listener of this show, you will be receiving the messages that we're sending you that are coded in every episode.
Yeah.
You know how to get the code. You can crack the code. It's very easy. It's easier than the code in Longlegs, which is very easy to crack.
The second letter of every word we say.
Yes. Backwards, yeah. These are the real codes. These are the real messages. Yeah. And if you're a real fan, if you listen to every episode, you know exactly what we're telling you to do.
Yeah. You piece it together and it's just like, please tell your friends about the show.
Yeah,
Please.
yeah. Please leave it playing on in the background on a loop so we get better listen counts. Yeah, it's totally pathetic. Yeah. No, it's fucking okay. That's the end of that bit. It's crazy that that's the craziest thing that's happened in a long time. But it's
sure.
also just like, okay, well,
Carry on.
yeah, news cycle's so fast. The hyper normalization so hyper. We just move right on. Like
Truly.
even this. I was at work when it happened. I was like talking to my manager, like, can you fucking believe this? This is crazy. I was watching all the videos, all this stuff. The next day, I woke up and I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
even if his head had exploded like a watermelon, the next day I would be like, okay. I'd watch the video a couple more times. There's a Zapruder film like back, and then people would do all the funny, the edits with the Benny Hill theme.
Benny Hill
You know?
theme's still a very popular meme format.
Oh
to
yeah,
this day.
yeah. All the TikTok teens they're just discovering Benny Hill.
Yeah.
Sometimes life is like a movie, you know. Like sometimes you watch a clip. So there's a Zapruder film used to be on Letterboxd, but people keep taking it down because it's distasteful. And then there was a time when it was up, and you go and you look and you see someone who's logged it like 3 or 4 times in one day. You're like, uh-oh, yikes.
Yeah.
That's not a good sign.
Keep tabs on that guy.
Yeah, red flag. Do not worry about us. We are not inciting violence.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want my truly honest, non-ironic, genuine opinion
On what, the shooting of Donald
on
Trump?
the shooting of Donald Trump, I want Donald Trump to die. I would like him to be dead. I would like him to drop dead. I think that would be good for everybody. I don't think it would be good for him to be assassinated.
No.
I think that would be very, very bad.
Very bad.
That would be a fucking nightmare. And I'm sure all our listeners can agree. So please, if you're going to do something like that, do it the proper way. Go through the proper channels. Get really good grades. Get into the CIA.
Okay.
Get access to the heart attack gun. Fucking think about this for a second. This guy, and now I hate to slander a former listener of the show,
Okay.
but this guy wasn't really thinking things through, right? I think it's safe to say.
No.
Didn't really think things through. However, he did beat security, which is fucking great. He just scrambled up on the roof with a gun.
He thought things enough
I guess.
to be able to take a shot at
Yeah.
a presidential candidate.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's so funny the immediate reaction to like a lot of people I know was like watching it and they were like fake, but who knows? I love conspiracy theories. I think that's very healthy for people to do. Sometimes it's just incompetence, right? Which is also very easy to believe.
Yeah. It could go either way.
Yeah. Anyway, that's not a movie though. I get that. That's a great segment for the movies we watched. But what else?
And it will invariably be turned into a movie
By us.
within the next couple of years.
The franchisees
Presents. Yeah. Yeah, what did I watch? Well, as I mentioned last episode, I was going to go see Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence
Oh
at
yeah,
the Fox.
yeah. How was that?
It was great, but to gear myself up, I stowed away in a little room at work and I rewatched Ghost in the Shell.
At work?
At work.
Whoa, bad boy.
It was a slow day. I just wanted to let the people know it's free on YouTube. There's ads,
Oh,
but
really?
you can just toss it on and watch, probably one of the best cyberpunk animes to ever exist.
Yeah,
You have to sit
sure.
through a couple ads here and there, but,
No, that's cool. That's awesome.
And then number 2 itself, it was pretty funny watching it after we just recorded Aliens, because I was sitting there and I was thinking, like, it is kind of ghosts in the shells with dollar
really,
signs,
eh?
because there are more
That's funny.
kind of cracked out cyborgs. But it was good. It was good. It's nowhere near as good as the original. The blending of CGI and that kind of traditional anime art style is it's something. It's something, and it definitely gives the movie its own kind of weird dystopian look that's kind of entrancing but also off-putting all the same.
Mm-hmm.
People talk about Ghost in the Shell as this like great philosophical work, but you rewatch it and it's tight. It's like an hour 17 minutes. Like, it's not a long film. And the moments it does kind of let itself get rambly and a bit of philosophical, they're pretty short. It's just enough to make you like ponder before it gets back into some cybercrime or something. Ghost in the Shell 2, it's over 90 minutes, and it definitely lets itself first
Ponderous.
year.
Yeah.
Totally. And it's kind of fun. Like, people are just like constantly quoting philosophy at each other, and it's like everyone in this universe is like a well-read PhD philosophy master. It's quite funny. Batu has this amazing idiom. I'm paraphrasing, but he says something like, "A jackass can make its way across the world, but it'll never come back a horse." I just thought that was really funny. But there's like tons of moments like that. And then there was this sequence in this like big palace in this kind of port town where they're doing some like psychological stuff and like replaying a scenario. And it reminded me a lot of playing Persona 5 Royal. Because that game can kind of get a bit like heady in these palaces that you kind of have to traverse. And it's also very long. And there are parts of this movie that felt long. So yeah, overall, I mean, also very different from Ghost in the Shell too. Like similar to Aliens and Alien, like this one is more of a hard-boiled detective noir mystery. He didn't even want to call it Ghost in the Shell 2, but that's what they had to do for marketing.
Yeah.
It was originally just going to be called Innocence. Like, yeah, worth watching, but just, check your expectations.
Yeah, different.
Then I watched the British crime classic Get Carter with
Michael
Michael Caine.
Oh, blimey. No,
Yeah.
that's, what's his famous line? His famous line is, "I'm gonna get Carter."
He is Carter.
Well, yeah, fuck. I've seen it. No, wait. Is Get Carter, she's only 17 years old. Is that Get Carter?
Yeah.
Yeah. She was just 16 years old. Every time he says it, she's younger.
Yeah, happy to have like finally crossed it off my list.
Yeah.
It was not my favorite classic British crime movie.
What's that?
I think I prefer Long Good Friday.
I haven't seen that yet. Can you believe that? I haven't
No.
seen Long Good Friday.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
It's a
I
good
know.
movie to watch on the Easter weekend.
I'm going to watch it next Easter.
Yeah.
It's coming up. No, wait. It passed.
But it's coming up again.
It's always coming up.
No, I dug it. Those movies are so much fun. Like the Get Carters, the Long Good Fridays,
She was only 14 years old.
the Italian Jobs.
Right.
And
You're
all-
only supposed to blow the bloody doors off. Yeah, we all know. We've all seen the trend. I'll stop.
And then just last night, I watched the last film in Greg Araki's Teenage Apocalypse trilogy, Nowhere.
Ah, yes. I like that one.
So I've only seen the Doom Generation. I've yet to see Totally Effed Up. And
Yeah, I have not seen either of those, actually.
I like this
There, now I'm looking at you. That's better.
I like this significantly more than the Doom Generation. Like,
Yeah, I Nowhere is like really, really good.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's maybe my favorite of any of his movies.
It was awesome. And
Oh no, Mysterious Skin's still my favorite.
so I haven't seen that.
Oh, you
Yeah.
really like that? Yeah.
Yeah, I should check it out. But I watched the Doom Generation. I was like, if I had seen this in high school, it would have been my favorite movie.
Right.
And this, like, so much, because I watched this as an adult, and I was like, yeah, this is still like blindingly amazing. Like something about the fact that he's tackling this like subject matter, which is kind of like Larry Clark-ish, and I thought about like an alternate timeline where I'd watch these movies instead of like Larry Clark's first 3 movies when I was in high school.
Yeah, you would have been gay instead of whatever straight.
I mean,
yeah, that's
they're
one
like
of
two
the
sides
big
of a coin.
It's one of the big differences is that Greg Raki is queer and Larry Clark is not.
He's creepy.
And is prurient. Is that? I can never say that word.
They feel like
Yeah, he's a creep.
two sides of a coin, where they're both kind of like nihilistic and looking at like, the extreme lives of teenagers really, but like, whereas Larry Clark's view is like very, I don't know, Greg Araki, there's a bit of bounce. There's a bit of, it's like,
Yeah, there's more energy, definitely.
They're on uppers and Larry Clark's on downers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And James,
I also don't think that Greg Araki movies are I know you could describe him as like a provocateur, but in the not in the like positive
definitely.
way, not in the negative way. You know what I mean? Like when Larry Clark wants to like shock you, I think and does so sometimes, and I think, but also a lot of the times does not have like good taste.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I think James Duval is so funny in both the Doom Generation and Nowhere. Like, his line delivery is just,
Yeah.
he plays dark, the opposite of light, or like the absence of light or something.
Yeah.
He's just like really charming, and like, what a cast, just filled with like future sexy stars. Was surprised to see Shannon Doherty among them, who recently unfortunately passed away.
Rest in peace. Yeah.
R.I.P.
Shannon Doherty,
In memoriam.
Richard Simmons.
Yes. On the day that Trump got shot. Or around that, yeah.
Oh, there were like at least 2 other people. Oh, well, Shelley Duvall died. Well, I put the little thing at the end of the last episode, but I'm going to talk about her in a second anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, just really, really enjoyed it. And I'm really looking forward to watching Totally Effed Up and some of Iraqi's other movies.
Nice.
Yeah. And yeah, that's about it for me.
Yeah, so saw some new releases, saw some old movies. Last Thursday, I went to the Lightbox to see Last Summer, the Catherine Breillat movie.
Oh, yeah.
Breillat. Fuck. Yeah, we're fucking idiots.
Breillat.
Anyway, Last Summer, yeah, it's about a French wine mom who is also like a lawyer of some kind, social worker of some kind, and has an affair with her stepson. The French,
Sounds like Catherine.
It's very, very good.
Nice.
I didn't know beforehand that it was a remake of another movie, I don't know if it was Danish or whatever, like another European movie. That movie, like, maybe is a little bit more like alarmist about the whole thing. This movie is like kind of made, I don't know, I don't want to get into it too much, but part of the brilliance of it is like, how it's like pretty casual about the whole thing, and like also is like, I don't know, just feels very French about the whole thing. Like,
Sure.
oh, it is summer. I drink wine. I sleep with my stepson. Why not? Pourquoi pas? She says pourquoi pas. So she says why not so many times
Yeah.
that it's just a series of why nots until then you're fucking your stepson. It's
It's a slippery slope.
But the thing that's interesting about it is like, well, like, she is taking advantage of him.
Sure.
And even if she doesn't really realize it, and when he kind of breaks down after she's like, we can't do this anymore, accuses her of it, she gaslight, gatekeep, girl bosses him into submission. And it's like a really interesting way for place for the movie to go. And it's also like very funny in its own kind of disgusting way. The movie is, I haven't seen a lot of Breillat's movies, but yeah, it's very good. And it's juicy, not like oh, like hot sexy movie, but like really, really intense but fun movie. Like, I had a smile on my face the whole time, even though it's like also quite dark,
Sounds like it would make a perfect double feature with May December.
Oh yeah, I was not thinking about that, but it's so funny. These movies come out like
In twos.
movie comes out. It's one of my favorite movies from last year, and then like, the next summer I've forgotten about it. No, May December is fantastic. It's similar. Well, no, not really. Okay, whatever.
I will check it out.
You should. You'd like it.
I hope it's in theaters for a long time.
I watched Brewster McCloud,
Of course.
the Robert Altman movie, because on the day Shelley Duvall died. I love Shelley Duvall in Three Women, the other Robert Altman movie. That's the performance I think I kind of think of her, connect her with the most. Like, obviously, yes, The Shining, but when I think of that movie, I think of other things. I don't necessarily think about even her or even Jack Nicholson. I think about like
The Boy.
Yeah. No, the whole Kubrick-ness of
Sure,
it,
yeah.
right? Same with like Barry Lyndon, like Ryan O'Neal. Sure, I'll think of Barry Lyndon, but like it's I think about the movie itself rather than that performance. Three Women, I really strongly associate with her, and of course Popeye, which she's incredible in. So many great movies. Brewster McCloud is her first movie, and it's a really weird movie, and I really liked it. And she is like, as soon as she's on screen, you're like, wow, like that's like she was just such a really singular presence. Like, there's no other Shelley Duvall, and I don't think there ever will be. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
I watched an Alien ripoff, as I said I would.
Okay.
I mentioned on the other episode, Alien 2 on Earth. Really crummy. Really cheap. really crummy. 1980, I think. So like right after Alien comes out in Italy, they're just like, here's Alien 2. You know what I mean? Like similar with like Zombie 2 being like, or like Zombies Dawn of the Dead, and Zombie 2 is like Zombie Flesh Eater. All these other sorts of like whatever riffs and whatever. It's there is an alien, and it is on Earth, but it's mostly about them spelunking, and then they find a cave, and it's not really an alien as much as it is like a fleshy mass that sort of juts out at you and like crushes your head. Just like really nothing. Loved it. 10 stars.
Okay.
Yeah. A bunch of other stuff. Oh, I kind of did a Afrofuturism, like jazz, electronic music double feature with this documentary called The Last Angel of History from 1996. John Akomfra, who's a British director, has made a lot of really good stuff. This one's on the Criterion Channel, and it's kind of about like Afrofuturism, but also like music and how it all kind of leads up to like the kind of like electronic, like British electronic music that was made kind of around that time. Cool. But it's about Sun Ra, and it's about George Clinton and other people. And I also watched Space is the Place finally, which I know you've seen. And really cool. Talk about singular. Like there really is kind of nothing like that.
It's a weird little movie.
It's weird, and obviously rough around the edges, but like it's kind of like amazing.
Sure.
you know, there's stuff in that movie that you can't find anywhere else. And also a great music film as well. A lot of really good like Sun Ra performances. Another little double feature, the catching up on Osgood Perkins.
Of course.
I did watch The Blackcoat's Daughter, and then the next morning I went to go see Longlegs with friend of the show, past and future guest Mary Jane.
Oh, nice.
I did not like The Blackcoat's Daughter, really.
That's unfortunate.
I see why people like it.
Yeah.
And so when I was like, like going to Longlegs tomorrow. Longlegs, I think I liked fine, although the more that I've sat with it, the less I really liked it. It all feels number one, the marketing is like does it quite a bit of a disservice. So please jettison your expectations. Like just try to enjoy it on its own terms.
Sure.
It's not, and I know that's you're Mr. Marketing, so it's all.
I'm Mr. Perkins.
You're Mr. You're Mr. Perkins. Yeah.
I like his slow, anticlimactic, just mood pieces.
I think you will enjoy Longlegs.
I probably will.
Yeah.
I like Gretel and Hansel.
I didn't see that. That's crazy. Maybe should I watch that?
No, I mean I don't think. I don't think if you didn't like Blackcoat's Daughter, like I don't know. I just like I like his vibe. I like the vibe he creates.
I think the Longlegs has vibes.
Cool.
It has vibes. I was entertained. I think the performances are all right, but not scary and not really creepy, which is what I was kind of assuming it was going to be instead of being scary.
Yeah.
Like that it would stick with you. But no, it's all very surface level, which is fine. But it does get a little weird, which I was not expecting. Like there's some weird stuff in it, which I think, more or less works. I just don't want to ruin it for you or anything. But maybe we'll talk about it more when you've seen it.
Sure.
I don't know. It's just funny. Like,
I get that.
I like to think I'm better than marketing. I think everybody likes to think they're better than advertising and better than marketing. And obviously it does have an effect on you.
No, we're all his pawns.
Yeah, of course. I feel like when people review this movie, they review the marketing just as much as they're reviewing the actual film itself.
Sure.
It's kind of inescapable. The problems I have with it aren't that it wasn't scary. That's fine. It's more just that it's like it's just not particularly interesting.
Yeah.
Which is too bad.
You prefer short arms.
Yeah. Long legs. Call me back when you make short arms. Yeah. Osgood. Oz Perkins. One more new release, The Bike Riders.
Oh yeah.
Here, baby. It's awesome over here.
I started this thing, you see.
Yeah, I'm a bike rider. That's Tom Hardy. Sometimes there's one or two lines where he goes really high, where he's like, I'm a bike rider. And then Jodie Comer's just like, hey, bike riding, eh? Like, okay, yeah, I'll go out for a rip off bag of chips, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, she does not. Sorry, she's not a hoser. She's not Canadian. She's whatever the American.
She sounds like
Midwest.
she could have been from like Minnesota or
Yeah.
something.
So talk about vibes.
Yeah, sure.
I think the movie has vibes.
It kind of starts off. It almost feels like it's going to be like a Marty Scorsese facsimile.
There's a
but then
very
it slows down.
There's some very explicit Scorsese Goodfellas like riffing. I was joking on Letterboxd, like as far back as I can remember, I wanted to ride a bike.
Yeah.
It really does. Like there's a freeze frame and there's the voiceover and the whole thing.
Yeah.
Not bad. Like I like Jeff Nichols. I really like Take Shelter. I kind of need to see it again to see if I would like it. I loved it when it came out, but I was pretty young. And ever since then, I've been going to his movies and being like, okay, not a bad movie, but not like a great movie. This is his curse. And this one, like, totally fine. 3 out of 5, no complaints.
Yeah.
Just like, but again, like sort of similar to Long Legs, some way. Like, it's not particularly engaging for me. You know what I mean? Cinematically, narratively, it's just kind of like a decent movie about
a coffee table
people
book.
pretending to be bike riders. A total coffee table book movie for sure. Yeah, and speaking of that blank check, like the David Fincher review is something like it's like cosplay.
Yeah.
And there are times where it feels like,
None of these people have ridden a bike.
None of these people know how to ride a bike.
They're just CGI'd on these bikes.
You know what the real reason I didn't like it? No helmets.
Oh, dangerous.
No respect for safety.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine? I mean, and some of them do die. I don't know. Just ridiculous. Great collection of character actors doing silly voices. And sometimes that's really all like a movie needs.
Yeah, I mean, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
honestly.
When I think back on it, like the things that do stick out, because I had the exact same, or should I say, like there was the exact same lack of impact on me.
Yeah.
But I think back on it, I'm like, Norman Reedus had a funny voice. Michael Shannon had a funny voice.
Yeah, they all have
Tom Hardy had a funny voice.
They all have funny voices. They all have funny voices. And that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's reason enough to give someone millions of dollars to make a film.
Sure, yeah. That's Jeff Nichols' thing.
Well, I think if Alien 3 had more funny voices instead of British voices, that is a problem, yeah.
Because British voices can be really funny.
Oh, yeah, very much so.
They can be some of the funniest voices.
I was talking about the Mike Leigh like TV plays, right? Like the Alison Steadman's voice in Abigail's Party and in Nuts in May. Two of the funniest voices I've heard an actor do.
Interesting.
Ever. And I was like, there's no way this is going to be their voice the whole time. And it is.
I've heard about Nuts in May. I should watch it.
Yeah, I think Nuts in May you would really like.
Yeah,
I mean, both of those are good, but Nuts in May is like, it's like profoundly funny for me, I think.
Okay.
And Peter Bogdanovich's Noises Off, screwball comedy. You ever seen that?
Dude, I was in the play.
You were in
grade 12.
You were in Noises Off?
I was Lloyd Dallas.
Wow, which one's that?
The director of the play.
Really?
within the play, yeah.
That's like, you know who plays him?
Michael
in this?
Caine.
Michael Caine.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Good for you. That's a great role.
Got laid because of it.
No, really?
Lost my V card because of that stupid
In
play.
high school?
Yeah.
Wow. High school jock over here. That's great. Captain of the
Theater
football
kid.
team.
Yeah, playing Lloyd Dallas.
Yeah.
It Noises Off, the
Wait,
farce.
so somebody saw it and was like, hey, I'd like to have sex with you?
Or no,
like-
it was, they were in the cast as well.
Oh, yeah.
no.
Classic.
Theater romance.
Yeah. Well, that is part of the play and part of the movie as well, right? All the different romances going on.
Yeah, it was kind of
Yeah.
like that, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Have you seen the movie?
I actually haven't.
You should. It's. So at first I'm like, wow, this is really fucking annoying. like I know that's the mode, that's the screwball mode, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, wow, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to handle this. Someone I know on Twitter, Kevin, saw his review. It was just like it just like pummeled him, and and eventually you're like, yes, this is good. And I really felt like that, like by the like second act of the kind of weird, backstage.
The backstage portion.
The backstage portion, I was like, okay, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. Anyway, that's on Criterion Channel 2. You should go see that.
Yes, I think I saw that, and
yeah.
I want to.
And of course, Alien 3, and of course, Wreckage and Rage, the making of Alien 3.
You got to watch that.
I watched it today.
Very good.
It's very long.
Yeah, I
but
couldn't find it.
It's good.
Good.
Oh, couldn't find it? It's because it's on the Alien. They don't even call it quadrilogy. It's called the Alien Anthology Blu-ray set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like I have seen a behind-the-scenes making of about this movie at some point. It might have been the one about all the aliens, because I have
Yeah.
heard about how this movie originally was going to take place on the Covenant planet,
Yeah.
the monastery planet.
Yeah, okay, so let's dive into
Aliens to the power of 3.
Aliens to the Power of 3.
Aliens Cubed.
Yeah, Aliens Cubed.
Perhaps not a coincidence that this movie looks a lot like Cube.
It has
Or Cube
strong
looks like this movie.
Vincenzo Natali vibes. Yeah.
It's probably influenced by this.
I mean, they're coming out around the same time. This is
Wasn't
just
Cube later?
Cube is in the 90s, right?
Felt like
Cube's
it was
in,
like
like,
later
the-
90s.
Cube's like in the, well, I mean, we could just find out.
That's true.
1997.
Okay.
Yeah. So no, I think you're right. I think so. Let's get it right off the bat. I already saw where you rated this. I don't think either of us are big fans of this movie.
No.
You watched the special edition, right? No, sorry, the theatrical edition.
Yes.
So
yeah.
did I. I had seen this once before. I don't know why. I guess maybe at the time I was like, well, I'll just watch the version people think is better. So I watched the assembly cut. I don't remember a lot of the changes necessarily, but I can tell you I don't necessarily think it makes the movie any better, or at least not that much better.
Sure.
And that's from 2003. It did not have David Fincher's involvement, but they did, kind of clean some things up, put some deleted scenes in, flesh out the story a bit more. But I think fundamentally, like, it's just a flawed movie from the get-go, kind of no matter how you stitch it back.
Yeah. I'm looking at the poster now, and it was like 3 times the suspense, 3 times the danger, 3 times the terror. But there's no real element of thirds within the movie. It's just one alien.
Yeah, I also don't think any of those statements are true.
Yeah.
The one thing, like, overall, I don't really even know if I have a whole lot to say about it, even though I did watch like a nearly 3-hour documentary about
Yeah.
it this morning. There's a couple things. I think when we'll go through this a little bit more. But first off, like, all of the different iterations of this movie are so interesting to think about and to talk about. And the final product is maybe in some ways the least interesting of all those concepts.
Sure.
However, visually, I think this is a pretty incredible movie in a lot of ways, and probably a lot more influential than it gets credit for. There's a lot of shots in this that feel like music videos, but also that you can trace the kind of through line through David Fincher's career. Like there are shots in this where I'm like, this looks like Space 7 a little bit, But at the same time,
Not enough for me.
Well, no, and I think the first half of the movie is a lot better than the second half, and that usually leaves you feeling kind of drained. Like the final climactic set piece where they're running the alien through the different like locks,
Yeah, the marathon.
I think is pretty bad. Like there's some interesting cinematography, like the alien vision and the kind of some of the like twisty camera moves they do for like the POV shots, all right, but like the whole geography of it, it's just like pretty repetitive. All these bald-headed guys who look the same.
Barcodes.
Running around in hallways that all look the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's just kind of like whatever.
Ripley crash lands.
Yep.
Kind of find out that there was a face hugger on board. Not quite sure.
There's always a face hugger.
How it got there.
Yeah.
But Wayland Yutani, somehow they knew there was a face hugger and they want it. She crash lands on a prison planet.
Yep.
A prison mining planet called Furiosa 5 or something like that.
I think it's called Furiosa 5. Yeah.
Yeah, short form to Fury.
Yeah.
And it's all male prisoners. And so, yes, as it's known, at one point in the gestation period of this movie, it was going to be like a monastery monk planet.
Yeah.
But they still have a lot of remnants of that.
Yeah.
Like she shows up on this prison planet and like the prisoners kind of self-govern. Like there are some authoritative figures, but they're really all in the same boat.
They have found God as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're all really concerned about their vows of chastity, which I found kind of funny. They were like, hey, we all took vows and you're just like showing up. Also, I do like she crash lands unceremoniously.
Yeah.
Newt. Dead.
Yeah. Hicks.
Dead. The android bishop. Dead.
Yeah. More or less.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that that right off the bat feels so like, twisted, like 90s, like David Fincher, like 9 Inch Nails, like where the kid's dead and the later on the dog dies. Then we do a child autopsy, it's like twisted. But a lot of that stuff was there before he came on. Like he didn't write this script. He definitely did a lot of work retooling things. But so first off, like just to introduce some of the like kind of behind the scenes stuff, right?
Please. You've got the gossip.
I watched a long documentary, which honestly, Alien 3, if you've never seen it for whatever reason, you definitely should. Watch whatever version you want. Watch both versions if you want. But regardless, watch the documentary. Like it's on the Blu-ray and make sure you watch the Blu-ray version. So initially it was called Wreckage and Rape, which is one of the titles for one of the tracks on the soundtrack, the Elliot Goldenthal. Yeah. Twisted, right? 90s.
Super.
Yeah. But then it ended up on the DVD on the quadrilogy set, and they just called it The Making of Alien 3. And they also took out some scenes because they were critical of 20th Century Fox. So when Fox put out the DVD, they kind of censored the thing. Now that it comes out on Blu-ray, like many years later, probably whatever, I don't know, 2010 or earlier than that, they've retitled it. They restored the original title, but they changed it to Wreckage and Rage.
Sure.
Which is better, I think. We don't need to get back into Jodorowsky's Dune, where he's like, the movie is like a rape.
Yes.
my wife. Yeah. Terrible. So, yes, they retitled Wreckage and Rage, and they restore the scenes that are critical of Fox. And it really is like a fascinating documentary. This was a very flawed production before David Fincher got on, pretty much right from the get-go. There are many, many decisions that were made that were the wrong decisions. It's easy to say, but you certainly can't fully put the blame on any one thing, right? If you can put the blame on this studio and the executives who are, as they mention in the documentary, the people with the least amount of talent who have the most amount of say, right? Just nitpicking this and that, and it should be this and that, and all their ideas make the thing worse. They're starting off. They have this is like still in the 80s, right? They're working on it. They have a William Gibson script, like the guy did like Neuromancer, right?
Right.
And they're expecting like a totally wild, like futuristic, like cyber alien kind of thing, but it's like really more about like space communism and like the Cold War.
Yeah.
And they said it's like, I mean, I haven't read the script. A lot of people really like it, and I think they've made it into a comic and done a radio series or podcast series of it. I'm sure it's really like worth reading. It wasn't what they were interested in. They had Eric Red, the guy who did like The Hitcher. He was writing a script. They had Rennie Harlan attached to direct at one point. They had a David Toohey script, the guy who did Riddick, right? It probably took a lot of his ideas to Pitch Black after this, and he's the first one to like have it be a prison planet. Vincent Ward comes on as director, right? This, I guess he's Australian or from New Zealand, but I haven't seen kind of his two kind of early movies that people like, Vigil and The Navigator, A Medieval Odyssey. But he did go on to make What Dreams May Come, the Robin Williams like Heaven and Hell movie, which is like truly a sight to behold. Like not good, but you should watch it. It's a very strange, sappy movie with a lot of like kind of impressive visual effects. Even if it's like really obnoxious. And he's the guy who's like, okay, I've got a brilliant idea. He does not sound like that. He's like, I've got a brilliant idea. It's a wooden planet of monks, right? And he has all these amazing design things like the planet's like this total wooden planet. And the movie starts out and you're in a cathedral and you think it's just medieval times, right? And then this monk is like climbing up this ladder and he peeks his head out and he wanted the wooden planet has an atmosphere that's so like shallow that he peeks his head up through the clouds and into space, right? Which can't like logically happen. The atmosphere has to be larger than that to look for like a planet to exist, right?
For sure.
But he had all these amazing like dreamy, cool ideas, and the documentary we're seeing because you see all of this great like storyboarding and ideas that would have been really like taken it into a really interesting direction. And they're working on it. And initially, I think, the studio seems to like it. But John Landau, rest in peace, recently passed away. Longtime producer, studio executive. I wouldn't say exactly the villain of the documentary, but definitely like the one who kind of is stuck with saying like, well, this could never have happened, like blah, blah, blah. And who went on to basically, be James Cameron's like longtime producer. Like he's the reason Avatar got made and so on and so forth, right?
Thank
and
God.
He just recently passed away. I know. He secured his place in heaven. And
R.I.P.
He's talking about Vincent Ward, and this is a quote I had to write down. He says, his ideas were more on the artsy fartsy side than on the big commercial side. And that pretty much sums up the whole thing. I saw Jordan's review of the Wreckage and Rage, and he's talking about there's the scene in the thing too where they do bring H.R. Giger back to make some designs.
Yeah.
Some of which they use, some of which they don't. There's this section, like long section, where he's talking about all his designs and all these crazy things, like the alien has this like tongue and it kisses people to death, and the wind moves through its like parts of its body and makes saxophone noises, and there's all this just like bizarre stuff. And it's the only time in the entire documentary where they don't like let someone finish. They just like fade it out. They're just like, okay, and shut up. Yeah. You're done talking now about your things. And again, that plus the John Landau quote, I think they really sum up like the kind of problems with this movie.
Sure.
Like eventually Walter Hill, David Glard, Larry Ferguson, they write the script.
The dream team.
Sigourney Weaver tasked them to write it. She trusted them to write Ripley correctly. Of course, one of the famous quotes David Fincher said about it, he says, "No one hated it more than me. To this day, no one hates it more than me." And I think he's probably right. He is not interviewed in the documentary. He is present. There are shots of him and audio of him talking and dissing the studio executives and all sorts of things like that. There's not as much as you would want. Like, it's obviously the studio did release it and put it on a Blu-ray, so it's not like a tell-all or whatever. But it's a pretty interesting doc that essentially boils down to like, this is how, and I think, even though all this stuff happened in 1992 and the movie was very expensive and over budget at the time, but now, compared to the budgets now, totally like it's a small movie.
A pittance.
I think all of the same issues persist, right? Which is basically that when a studio is in charge and they want to design the movie by committee and they want some artistic help from people, but they don't want to put the trust in those people. They don't want to give those people final cut or final say. The dollar is, in the bottom line, is what's most important, rather than the artistic success of the work. Mm-hmm. And that you can just funnel money into it, just money, just burning money until you think you get it right. Even though if you had just trusted the artistic sensibilities of the people you hired in the first place, without like nitpicking and micromanaging, maybe you would have had something that's genuinely interesting. Instead, you have like a bloated mess, right?
Yeah.
That has some sense of authorship, but not really. No. And, some spectacle, but not really. And whatever, right? It's just kind of sad. It's also this sort of thing where it's like, people talk about this a bit with how much this Disney and Lucasfilm fumbled like the new Star Wars trilogy.
I was
right?
just thinking of that as you were talking.
It's totally a similar thing where it's just like, instead of planning things out, they're just like, okay, the irons are hot. We got to do it.
Yeah.
Here's the release date. We have the release date first. Here's the money. We got the money. Okay, we're just going to start spending money, and eventually someone will have a good idea. It's fucking crazy. Millions of dollars just burned.
It is crazy, but I think like the Star Wars sequels, Lord knows when we'll get to those, but those are almost kind of like outliers in the modern movie market, because I feel like I don't think they're making good sequels or legacy sequels or stuff like that, but I feel like generally, because like maybe resources are so much more scarce for most other like franchises and stuff, they are being like very measured and thoughtful on how to like build franchises or like what the next step in a movie series would be, but I guess not with Star Wars. With Star Wars, they were like, we have infinite money and just didn't think to like plot out 3 movies. Well,
I think honestly, sometimes it seems like the thought process behind it is, well, yeah, we have infinite resources, and it's a Star Wars movie, so of course it'll be good.
Yeah, it'll make billions of dollars.
But then also, maybe nobody gets to actually say this out loud. Nobody gets to admit it. But in the back of their heads, I'm sure a lot of the time it's something along the lines of, well, it doesn't matter if it's good. Because people will be there and it will make money and we will recoup our losses. It doesn't matter if it's interesting. It doesn't matter if it's different. It's not about that. It's about the profit. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah.
And, for a show called The Franchisees, though we never really focus on the idea of the franchise all that much.
No.
This was such an interesting example to watch, because you've got this franchise that, was birthed in the 70s as one thing. And then this was its kind of metamorphoses across a couple decades into the 90s. And that's it just feels so much like the worst tendencies of 90s mainstream blockbuster movie making. You know what I mean? It's really, it was interesting to watch it, to see what that Alien had evolved into, just a really far cry, pale shadow from Alien.
Yeah. I guess, they think about, okay, so similar to James Cameron with Aliens, how are we going to do it so that we're not just repeating the other movies?
Yes.
And Aliens and Alien, very different approaches.
Extremely.
Works really well. This one, it seems like they want to do a little bit of each of those.
Yes.
They want some elements of sci-fi horror. They want some elements of action.
It's a horror action.
Yeah, they want big set pieces. They want the alien to kill people. I don't know. There are some things about this movie that I like, and maybe that's a time to talk about that before we continue saying what a fucking disaster it is.
There are things about it I like too.
Yeah, let's talk about it. When I made a joke about not liking it the other day on Twitter, people were like, "No, that movie rules." Second greatest Alien movie. People like this movie.
Yeah.
Maybe not at the time, but there are people who really think this is an interesting movie. I agree. I think it is interesting. I think what is interesting about it is more so how it was made than anything to do with the actual movie. But I do think starting it with killing off the characters from the last movie, maybe that turns a lot of people off. I know James Cameron wasn't crazy about it, but I think that's kind of a bold choice. I think the prison planet with all of the scary bald men, bald British men, is an interesting choice. I think some of the performances are good. I think Charles Dance is good in it.
Yes, Tywin Lannister himself.
Tywin Lannister, yeah. I think Charles S. Dutton is good in it. I think,
as well.
Of course, Sigourney Weaver is good in it. There's a very brief Pete Postlethwaite.
Yeah, happy to see him, friend of the pod.
Happy to see friend of the pod.
Yeah,
Pete. There's a bunch of other bald guys in it. Yeah. I think the design, elements of the design are good. I think the alien, when it bursts out of the dog, or in the other version, it bursts out of an ox. It's a little different.
That explains why it's a bit bigger.
Yeah. That introducing that idea of it takes on some of the characteristics of the host,
because it bugged me that it came out of the dog full sized. Or
it's too big.
It is too big, because then you see the queen come out of Ripley at the end, and it's what we expect it to come out as, the small little guy.
Yeah, it could conceivably fit inside of her.
Yeah.
And the dog, it's a full.
It's bigger than the dog that it comes out of.
It's funny.
Ox would have made more sense.
The ox was the original thing, I think. And that is how it happens in the other version. It comes out of the ox, yeah. I think the prison planet idea isn't bad. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Day of the Dead, where it's not exactly the same thing, but in Day of the Dead, it's the only people who have made it this far into the zombie apocalypse are fucking psycho assholes, military assholes. And it's not the same. This is not post-apocalyptic necessarily. It's dystopian sci-fi future, but the idea of putting her on an extremely hostile environment, the planet is hostile, but it's a hostile prison, all male prison environment is interesting. The shaved head Ripley, I feel it's very iconic, right? And even that's the shot of the alien kind of sizing her up and drooling all over her.
There's a good
really,
shot.
Really is incredible. Yeah, it's an incredible shot.
But it's not unique to this movie. We've seen the alien kind of get up close and snarl.
True, but it is one of the indelible images of the franchise, I think.
That, yeah.
More so than anything that happens in the next one, as you'll see.
Sure, yeah.
Although the next one is pretty weird, so there's some weird stuff in that.
I kind of like that
yeah.
the whole prison planet kind of got mishmashed and contains strains of DNA of the monk planet.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned it earlier as being kind of silly, the fact that they're all really worried about their vows of celibacy and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it was also, yeah, it led a weird little surrealist atmosphere to it, kind of like.
Well, I guess that stuff sort of builds up to like the scene where the prisoners attack her.
Yes.
Which is pretty distressing, but also like hard to take seriously in that kind of like twisted 90s kind of music video style way. Holt McCallany guy, I don't remember how you say his name, but he's in Fight Club, he's in Mindhunter, he's in lots of David Fincher stuff. He's one of the prisoners who does it. And they're about to like sexually assault Ripley, and he puts on his 9 Inch Nails like solar goggles,
Yeah.
you know, and the soundtrack goes ba-na, 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 you know, and it's like, all right, like this feels dated,
Yeah.
like that feels like a very 90s kind of like literally there is those 90s what's his face, Trevor what's his face, you know. What's his name?
Reznor?
Yeah, Trent
Trevor
Reznor.
Reznor.
Trevor Reznor. Trevor Reznor
Yeah.
puts on those goggles in several music videos, and it was just funny seeing. Like I know David Fincher didn't direct Closer. I always think he did. It was Mark Romanek who did it, but just very similar like sensibilities, I guess. Yeah, like that scene's kind of gross. Like I get that. I get that it's like also establishes that the Charles S. Dutton character is like, you know, like more virtuous and like is really the kind of becomes the de facto leader of the group and everything.
Sure.
But, you know, I don't know. That feels like I don't know. I guess the whole franchise has so much about like violation and assault, right? That I guess it sort of fits in a little bit, but
it's executed, as you said, quite
I think pretty poorly.
Yeah. Because like I wouldn't object to this one having a bit more of that explicit threat of sexual violence, given the context of her being on a prison planet with a bunch of inmates.
Right.
But that's, I think it was executed poorly, because that's the only kind of time it flares up. And it is as like kind of hammy as you said, you know, it's just not like, effective, really.
No, it's not really. I think so much of the assembly cut does put some things back in, makes things make sense. Like, you know, there's that prisoner in the straitjacket.
I was going to ask about
who
him.
just like disappears, right?
He has a more substantial role in the assembly cut, right?
He ends up like, he becomes obsessed with the alien, and like once they've trapped the alien in one section of the prison planet, and then he goes and frees it, and it runs amok, right? And eventually he gets killed. In this one, he just disappears.
Yeah. You're like, oh, this guy's fucked up. He's strapped to the table. And
It's
see you later.
So I know people like it, and I know that it has some fans, and I can see some of the good qualities about it. Definitely some of the production design, some of the visual stuff is very impressive. Like, you know, there are a lot of really interesting. David Fincher, you know, became kind of the guy who's like, I am very precise about every element of my work, in particular, like where I put my camera. So much so, you know, that then eventually it's like, I am on the cutting edge of technology. I am shooting a wider frame and digitally punching in and replacing half of this with CGI trees or cars or whatever.
Sure.
Every single thing is controlled like you're, you know, building Lego, and that's cool. And there's a sense of that.
But not enough
in this movie, but not enough. Because
I was watching it,
it feels closer to his music videos than it does to his good movies.
That's kind of what I was expecting. Like, you know, maybe I won't connect with the story as much, or but I was like, I'm gonna see, you know, the telltale signs that like, oh, this guy was gonna be like at the very least like a visual virtuoso, and I didn't really get that all that much. Like, to me it felt and looked very much like a big 90s blockbuster. There's a lot of kind of crossfades and like overlays.
There's some of that. Yeah.
didn't blow me away visually as much as I was hoping. But that one shot of the alien getting right up close to her and sniffing her, like that was
that's pretty cool.
It looked pretty exquisite. Though I will say there's a lot of really crappy alien effects in this one.
Yes, so
that were really surprising.
Yeah.
Because it looked worse than Aliens.
It does. It's unfortunate. It's not like a CGI alien. It's a rod puppet that's composited in, or whatever. Not digitally.
That's what gives it the look.
I don't think it's digitally composited. There's one or two shots they mention are like some of the earlier digital compositing, but it's like David Fincher like worked in like matte paintings and like compositing and other stuff for ILM, right? And like worked on Temple of Doom and like Return of the Jedi and like stuff like that. He had a sense of how that stuff worked. But yeah, it looks pretty crummy. The coloring is off too. Like like whenever the alien is moving and you're like
gray.
It's grayish green. It's really weird. There are shots where it's a guy in a suit, and I think they, like the other movies, like do a pretty good job of not making it look like a guy in a suit.
For sure.
But when the alien is like leaping and running,
yes,
it's the first movie where they really do that. I mean, you know, in Aliens they're crawling around, but they're not really like running, galloping, like jumping and this and that. But yeah, it looks kind of bad. I also it's just not as scary, really.
No.
You know what I mean? Because if the alien can just like leap and run and chase you and outdo everything to you, then it's just like, oh, well, they're just fucked. Like there's no, you know, when the alien is like popping out of places that you were not expecting it, that's kind of more scary.
Yeah.
I guess.
But it was always kind of implied that the alien, like, you know, but I like how they did it versus showing you the alien was super fast and agile. It was just kind of implied, like, oh, they're all around us. It's closing in like quick or something. Like,
right.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, the actual mechanics of watching it gallop or silly.
Yeah, there's some clunky stuff like that. Yeah, I think I like kind of how dour it is. I like how violent it is.
Yeah, the violence was nice. Yes.
Yeah, there's some pretty goopy, disgusting alien kills in it.
When it kills Charles Dance, like that,
right in his head.
Yeah, and you see like the blood through the sheet.
Similarly, Pete Postlethwaite.
Yes.
It punches through his head in through the glass door. Like,
yeah.
There's a couple of good kind of things like that.
It's fun when they actually kill the alien too.
Yeah.
Because they.
There's definitely a CG shot there.
Yes.
With the rippling on its head, like when it's gonna explode. Yeah.
The whole kind of like climactic chase, tag team marathon. What are those marathons called when you like hand off the baton to the next person? Relay race. It's like a relay race to get the alien into a place where they could pour molten lead on it. But everyone in the relay essentially dies. But they do finally pour the molten lead on it, and they think they've killed it, but it kind of shoots up from the lead. And in an effect that, again, doesn't look very good.
No.
But then Ripley sprays it with, I guess is it cold water? That would cause it to explode because of science.
Yeah, listen, by this point in the movie, my ass is not paying attention.
It's like when Ridley Scott's The Martian came out and people were like, science it, using science as a verb, like she scienced that alien.
Such a bad movie, man. Such a bad movie.
No, it's great.
No, it's not.
It's one of his best.
No. No. Yeah, like...
And then it just explodes.
Yeah. I think at some point in the process too, they were like, okay, Sigourney Weaver was like, I'm not doing another one of these. I have to die. And in the assembly cut, they fix some of the effects there because it looks pretty goofy with her falling.
Bad.
Yeah, it looks pretty bad. And also, the alien does not burst out of her chest.
Oh.
Yeah, only in the theatrical.
But so when she jumps off, she totally takes a T-pose Jesus on the cross.
Yeah.
Stance.
The whole movie looks like Piss Christ. You know Piss Christ?
No.
That picture?
Piss Christ.
Yeah, Piss Christ.
No.
The whole movie has a very Piss Christ sheen to it. You'll look it up.
I will.
Yeah.
Well,
you'll like Piss Christ.
I'm sure.
I've got a new god for you, baby. Piss Christ. Yeah. This is a very Piss Christ movie. We can all agree.
But she jumps off and she's diving and she's kind of in a crucifix position, which is kind of eye rolling. The alien starts popping out of her chest And
Yeah.
she's kind of like holding it, you know? She's not letting the alien jump out or anything. She's kind
Yeah.
of like keeping it in place.
Yeah.
Or maybe almost like embracing it like a baby, you know?
Right.
And it's a queen, by the way. It's a queen embryo.
It is the queen embryo. Yeah.
So I kind of like that it bursts out and then she kind of just like swaddles it, keeps it close to make sure they
Yeah,
both
I don't.
die.
That part doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I like the sacrifice. Dude, they're mentioning too, like at the time, like Terminator 2 hadn't come out, but they had heard that it ended with the Terminators like falling into like lava,
Right.
or like molten steel or whatever, and they were like, "Oh shit!" Like fuck. But whatever, it was different enough, you know. Yeah.
I should say before that, though, those pieces of shit, the Weyland-Yutani Corporation show up.
Yeah, I actually kind of like that part.
Well, they have the one guy who's walking around in like the all white kind of
Yeah,
thing
that-
with like the big bug eye glasses.
Yeah, that shit's
like,
kind of cool. Like, yeah,
they're kind of creepy.
Yeah.
like the people from Weyland-Yutani.
yeah.
But
Lance
then
Henriksen, of course.
he plays the guy who
Yeah.
allegedly designed Bishop.
Yeah.
And they're trying to convince her to, you know, give up the alien to be used as a biological weapon because they've clearly never seen the Jurassic World films.
Yeah.
It's a bad idea.
They can just do research. It's no big deal. You'll see. It comes back in Alien 4.
Oh, great.
It's so funny that she's like, I'm not kill me. I don't want to do one of these. And then they're like,
No.
like what is it? Like 4? It's like 5 or 6 years. I don't remember when Alien 4. It's like 4 or 5 years later. They're like, we've got an idea. Alien Resurrection.
Yeah.
You're back.
Let me die.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm tired of the company wanting the alien for a biological weapon. Like I
Yeah.
wish there was just something else.
yeah, I think it's really well done in the first movie where a lot of it, like it's it's a twist that you don't expect. There's not a lot of it's not very fussy about it. It's just like you just find out this is the, and it feels like a betrayal, you know, because it's like you
Yeah.
like these characters
And they're constantly talking about their position within the company, what they're going to get paid. You get the sense that they're being exploited.
Yeah.
And you just find out by how much.
And I think it's successfully extended and opened up in Aliens, right? Where you
Yeah.
actually get to meet people from the company and they're all fucking assholes. They're
Yeah.
all like total douchebags.
But that was like enough.
Yeah, that I know what you mean. Yeah. This one doesn't have that much of that.
No,
Yeah.
but they show up at the end kind of like all menacing and stuff.
It
like,
is kind of
handed
funny, yeah.
over. And
Yeah.
you're right. Like I didn't dislike it because it was kind of fun,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm tired of that as a plot point.
Sure. I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What can you say? It's a classic.
Classic. There's not-
It's not a classic.
no.
It's not, and that's fine. So one of the like funniest things. This is why the whole documentary is so great, and why the whole like story about making Alien 3 is better than the movie itself. What is 20th Century Fox if not the Weyland-Yutani Corporation?
Yeah.
Exploiting,
Sure.
and fucking pinning it on David Fincher being brash and difficult to work with and all this other stuff. Now, to be fair, there is chunks of the documentary where, not only do you see him be kind of an ass, but also there are people interviewed who are like, he was like a little bratty baby boy,
Sure.
which totally makes sense. Like he was like 28 years old, right? So I'm sure there's some of that, but ultimately they fucked him, right? Like he was set up to fail.
Yeah.
One of the funniest kind of facts about the movie is like by the time they start like production on his movie, like when they hire him and he's ready to go, they've already spent, like in the pre-production phase, they've already spent $7 million. And this is in 1991, I guess, before the movie comes out. So
it would have been like $140 million.
it's like, I don't know, it's $7 billion. I don't know. You know what's cool? $7 billion.
Yeah.
Drop the. Just Alien. They were going to call it The Alien 3. And then
They went with Alien Cubed.
Sean Napster said, drop the. Put the 3 a little higher.
Oh, yeah.
Take that 3, put it up where the whatever those math things are called,
Yeah. Ben can't talk. He's plugged in right now.
I'm coding.
I just destroy the recorder.
Yeah. I'm coding, but not like in the sense that you're like dying, like Code Blue.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you have anything else to say?
No, not really.
Yeah.
I did, because I've been watching Game of Thrones. It was fun to see Charles dance.
I think he's really good in it.
is really good. You can kind of tell that like he just very clearly has an aura and like a type of persona that he's really good at playing. Because the character, it's not really unlike Tywin Lannister. It's just a nice guy versus Tywin's bad guy.
What do you mean? It's totally different, isn't it different?
No, but very like similar kind of like measured ways of speaking and kind of like, similar physical mannerisms or just presence, but just used for different ends. And that was just really fun to see. And he kind of plays Ripley's love interest for a hot second before
they have sex.
Yeah,
that's funny.
I did appreciate how forward she was. She was just like, do you find me attractive?
Yeah.
And she's like, I've been out here a long time.
Yeah. He's like, don't worry, I'm not really a bad criminal. His crime is really not as bad as the other ones.
Yeah.
He's just a negligent drunk doctor. I guess that's bad.
And he's like no longer a prisoner. I guess he was like paroled around the time of the events of the movie or something like that.
Whatever.
Anyway. Yeah. But
well, let's rate it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
How many Finchers out of David would you give it?
That's really interesting. I would probably have to give it 2.5 Finchers out of a full David.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think I would just give it 2 Finchers out of
2 Finchers
David.
out of David? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I'm glad we watched it. Like obviously doing the Alien franchise. We had no choice.
We had no choice.
It's a fascinating case study, I think, in the fumbling and mismanagement of a franchise.
Yeah.
It's as if, like you said, 20th Century Fox is Weyland-Yutani.
They are.
And they got the Alien, which is the movie franchise Alien.
Yeah.
And they're just like exploiting it to shitty means.
100%. Yeah. It's a flawless metaphor. Anyway, we like David Fincher sometimes, not all the time.
We should do a tier list.
Yeah, we'll do a tier list. Not today, but some other time. We'll do one. And there will be tiers. It won't just be Marty Scorsese again.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. Hope you have received the coded message in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to come back for Alien Resurrection, a movie I have seen one time before that I really don't remember at all. So I'm curious to see that again.
I've never seen it,
Yeah.
but I'm assuming that there's going to be even more Christ metaphors given the resurrection.
Good question. I don't know. It's definitely a little French. From the director of Amelie.
Oh.
From the director of Micmacs.
No way.
From the director of City of Children. From the director of A Very Long Engagement.
Chocolat.
It's not chocolat.